right. Hello, hello, hello. Today is Tuesday, January 31st. Let me click go live on here. All right. We are currently streaming live on Getter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'm about to change the setting on my personal Facebook page. So, guys, this is going to be a very important episode. We talk about the action items and the ways that people can directly get involved in combating the negative consequences of the ongoing open border crisis caused by the Biden regime and the federal government. And so I'm going to be bringing you a very specific action items today. Please like and share, and please let me know if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. Towards the end of this broadcast, I hope to go over any comments, any questions that any of you guys might have. But again, please like and share, And you can share this if you are viewing this on our Secure the Border page on Facebook. That is a private page, so you can share this live broadcast from our Alliance for a Safe Texas page and from my personal page. I just changed the privacy settings. So please like and share, give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me. Today is Tuesday, January 31st, and I am coming to you live from the comfort of my warm and toasty home. For those of you guys who have been up here in the North Texas area, it's like the frozen tundra. It is nothing but ice out there, and it is very, very cold. But I know that this cold wave has just spread throughout Texas. But up here in North Texas, we are definitely battling the ice. So I, unfortunately, am going to be confined to my warm and comfortable home. I will more than likely not able to make it out to our state capitol in Austin this week. Unfortunately, because I was planning on testifying in front of the Senate Finance Committee on Thursday, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Regardless, I digress. Here we are. If you guys follow me on social media, you guys have seen that it feels like it's been a never-ending 2 or 3 weeks now. I've been kind of all over the place, from our nation's capital to our Texas capital and out there in Eagle Lake. I've gone live a few times, or at least have tried to, and just put out a new Substack article piece regarding part 2 of the NGO's, specifically Endeavors, that is opening a permanent facility down there in Eagle Lake. But again, this has much wider implications. For those of you guys who have been following me and might have been hearing and seeing what we are discussing as far as the facility opening in Eagle Lake, you're going, okay, Sheena, but what does that have to do with me? I live in the DFW area. I live in Houston. I live, in West Texas or East Texas. How does this impact me? Well, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to bring you the action items that you can do to get engaged, active, and involved to help combat this, because I promise you, this is coming to a city or town near you, if not your city or town. So please like and share. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? Okay, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. You're listening to the Secure the Border podcast here. We will be uploading this version to our various podcast streams. You guys can find the audio version on, of course, our website, securetheborder.us. Also now on our Substack, the Mid-Cities Conservative, and also on Spotify, Google Play, iHeart, pretty much anywhere that you find that you stream your podcast. So this will be up there on the podcast versions as well. But right now we are currently live on Facebook, Twitter, Getter, YouTube, pretty much all of our platforms. So please like and share. Let me know that you guys can hear me okay. I hope that this works. I apologize. Like I said, I've been all over the place. I am not feeling that well. I've got the funk. I got back from my secret squirrel meeting that I had this weekend. That is what our friend Matt Long calls it. Our secret squirrel meetings. Matt Long with the Hill Country Patriots, and of course the president of the Fredericksburg Tea Party out there, the great people out there in the Hill Country. He calls it the secret squirrel meeting. So I got back from the secret squirrel meeting this weekend, a conservative coalition across Texas, and my daughter was sick and my husband was sick. And so, of course, I got home and started kicking right into gear, started making soup and taking care of my family. And of course, the inevitable happens where now I am sick. So if I sound a little stuffy or I put it on mute every now and then so that I'm hopefully not coughing in y'all's ears, that's the reason why. So forgive me. That, and of course, battling this tundra, this frozen ice storm here in North Texas, it doesn't help. It's Texas, right? It's Texas in February. So this, of course, the funk is inevitable. Anyways, let's get right to it. Let's see here. If you... Hello, thank you. If you guys have any during this broadcast, if you have any questions, please put it in the comments. I'll be checking the comments at the end. I'll try to answer any questions that you might have, because honestly, this again has wider implications across Texas. So, if you guys have been following me, endeavors. We've spoken about this. I've written about this. This is now the second article specifically about this NGO. Endeavors came on the forefront really, truly within the last 2 years or so since the Biden administration came into office. Prior to that, this NGO or non-governmental organization really focused on veterans, assisting veterans and homeless veterans and children. They did previously assist other NGOs such as BCFS and other smaller or other larger NGOs throughout Texas and throughout the country, assisting with what they call quote unquote migrant care. But prior to the Biden administration and prior to the onslaught of no bid contracts, in which they received quite a substantial amount of money and continue to do so, they have not directly received any contracts with the care of unaccompanied minors specifically. So they're relatively new to the space. Endeavors, if that name rings a bell as it should, if you read my previous Substack, they received quite a large sums of no bid contracts under the Biden administration. They are also the head of the Pecos facility, which is a very large facility, started out of about 500 beds and has since essentially tripled, if not more, their bed capacity out there in Pecos. That's a temporary processing facility for unaccompanied minors. Also, that Endeavors also made the news a while back with regards to, I believe it was about $17 million that DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, had stated that was wasted, right, on unused, mostly unused hotels. Again, forgive me, guys. I'm trying to get this done because it's so important, but if I'm just a little loopy, we'll blame it on the cough medicine and the congestion in my head. But the $17 million was essentially wasted, according to DHS, on unused hotel and motel rooms out there in West Texas with the care of the unaccompanied minors and the quote unquote migrants. So again, they've been in the news somewhat over the last few years, but still a lot of people, when you hear of an NGO with regards to unaccompanied minors, typically BCFS, Southwest Keys, Catholic Charities, of course, Mission, some other smaller facilities like Mission Border Hope and NGOs down there operating in South Texas. Those are the ones that come to the forefront. But Endeavors has purposefully injected themselves towards the forefront, claiming that they are ready and willing to help the massive influx of unaccompanied minors and using our taxpayer dollars, of course, to do so. Especially with the large influx facility in Pecos. However, they back in 2021, during the previous city council leadership of Eagle Lake, they have been attempting to open their doors to a smaller permanent facility in Eagle Lake, Texas. Eagle Lake is about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Houston, right in between, kind of right in between Houston and San Antonio, if you will. And, they've, over the course of 4 previous city council meetings, the last of which prior to the town hall meeting was back in November of 2022, when the new mayor of Eagle Lake assumed office, a new city manager, who the new mayor is not particularly fond of the idea of this facility opening, and for several good reasons. They had been working on opening this facility, stated that the small facility had the capacity of holding up to 90 beds, but that they were only going to intend on housing up to 60 beds of 13 to 17-year-old males that were unaccompanied minors in this rural city of Eagle Lake, Texas. This is feet away this particular facility is feet away from an elementary school. I went live and showed some footage of that, and showed the line of cars that were lined up to pick up their children. Is just feet away from there. Quite literally feet away from a hospital, one of the only hospitals that is currently serving the surrounding areas. We are struggling here in Texas, especially in the rural southern part of Texas, with resources in hospitals. Okay, so this is feet away from the helipad landing for the helicopter there of the small hospital there that services not just Eagle Lake but the surrounding areas, and also feet away from a nursing home, of course, that operates 24 hours a day. So several concerns, specifically also in Eagle Lake. And again, this while some of this is very specific, obviously, towards Eagle Lake and some of these concerns that the city residents there have in the surrounding areas, and also the city council leadership. But again, this is going to have wider implications across Texas. So I'm just going to kind of lay this out, but just imagine how this is going to duplicate itself across Texas potentially. And there's already signs of that already happening. And this is how it's going to impact a much bigger population potentially across Texas. So for this small area, the 13 to 17-year-olds males specifically is a specific demographic that Eagle Lake has already been plagued with criminal activity, drive-by shootings, killings, gang members already exist in Eagle Lake of this specific demographic, 13 to 17-year-old males as it is. So that's one of the major and top concerns that was stressed during the town hall meeting. Endeavors actually did oblige, to their credit and to the credit of the new mayor, who asked and said, if you're going to be opening your doors, would you be willing to at least go in front of our citizens and answer some of their questions and concerns, right? And they did do that. This is the first time, to my knowledge, and to Cynthia's knowledge, who's done extensive research on NGOs, specifically Endeavors, where a major NGO has obliged to such a meeting in front of the public. So it did grant a unique opportunity to ask certain questions, and at least thankful that that opportunity was given. So the biggest concern, of course, was safety and the impact to the local communities. Of course, this is just like, again, duplicate this just about anywhere throughout Texas, particularly the rural areas. The local law enforcement there is already very strapped, even with the influx of criminal activity that they are forced to deal with. They've got about 3 to 4 deputies on staff for the entire county, or for the entire city, and several different schools that the small force has to take care of as well. So again, what are the implications? Where if this facility opens, what kind of resources are going to be required to be taken from the local law enforcement there? And as you can imagine, it does happen, and that was brought up. But what I really want to focus on here, and I will be coming out with a part 3, going deeper into these concerns of Eagle Lake, but also trying to tie that into some of the areas like Cadizo Springs and like Pecos, where some of these facilities have already opened and have happened. What is some of the impacts to their local communities? Because that's very important, right? To see after those doors are opened, what is that impact, if any, on the local community, so that we can compare, right? We spent a long time, preparing for this meeting. By we, I mean some of the local residents there, and of course the leadership, the city leadership. But then even after the fact, we spent a lot of time doing a lot of research to present this information to you guys, because honestly, in Eagle Lake, the doors are set to open in this summer, the summer of 2023, and because this was voted unanimously approved through the prior city council, it's going to be much more difficult to try and see if we can reverse some of these actions. However, for the wider implications across Texas, we do have an opportunity to get ahead of this in some of these other areas that similar types of facilities are attempting to open their doors or will attempt to open their doors. And so it's very crucial when we talk about what can you do on the city and county and of course the state level. That's what we are focused on with Alliance for a Safe Texas, because when we talk about the border crisis, it's not just enough to just know what the issues are right there along the border, but the problems do not begin, nor do they end at the Rio Grande, right? These massive influx of individuals, of illegal aliens that are, flooding the sovereign state of Texas. They do not stay, in Kinney County or in Maverick County or in the RGV area, the Rio Grande Valley or El Paso. No. They're going to continue to flood inward, right? So while our friends and our fellow Texans are dealing with the brunt of it along the Rio Grande, what are the negative consequences thereafter? And that's where it has the wider implications. So, and we have to find ways to be able to combat it. And people tell me all the time, well, I can't go down there to the border. Yeah, I get it. It's not for everyone, and not should everyone even, try to go down there. And by the border, we have, again, several Texans that live along the border. But even to find out what's really going on, in between the ports of entry, not everyone can go to Austin, right? And try to fight it out with us. Though we need people. The ADA session has started. We're going to be pushing for good legislation. There's some legislation that's coming up that I'm particularly excited about and that we're fighting for, but not everybody can do that, right? And I'm like, well, okay, but you can do things in the city and county level. And this is a perfect example of what I've been preaching as I've been going around Texas and presenting exactly that, the action items. This is the perfect example. And now is that time. Now is that time to get active, engaged, and become a watchdog in your local city, because this is coming to a city near you. And this is where you can make the biggest impact, right where you live. And you can come alongside us and help to try and fight and combat this, because I promise you, as long as the funding is there, which I don't have funding, I'm self-funded. But, I rely on donations. And if you can, go to securetheborder.us and make a $20 donation. I promise you will go a very long way to put gas in my car and help to keep me on the road, because I fully intend on being wherever these NGOs attempt to open their doors. God willing, with your help and your donations, I will be there. They will see my face, and I will be speaking out and doing all that we can to try to stop this. So securetheborder.us, go to the donate tab. Whatever you guys can do is greatly appreciated. So let's get into this. How did this happen? Little bit of a backtrack here. In May of 2021, if you guys remember, it feels like so long ago, but back when we had the K. Bailey Hutchinson Center, the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, and the K. Bailey Hutchinson Center down up here in the DFW area in Dallas, and several other types of facilities like that were opened because the flood just started coming over with unaccompanied minors, and they had to put them somewhere, right? Well, of course, as traditionally happens in these types of scenarios, allegations of abuse began to arise. And that's the other part of this. It's not just the safety and concern for Texans, but it's also the safety and concern for these unaccompanied minors that are being trafficked using our taxpayer dollars throughout the state of Texas. Okay, so there's both sides to this that everyone should be concerned about. This is not, a partisan issue. It should not be. There's nothing racist about trying to prevent and stop this at all. Having significant safety concerns for your city and your community that's already strapped, when our Texas CPS is already plagued with issues. And then of course the other element of the child trafficking that is occurring. This is horrible. So this is not a partisan issue. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. We should all be working to try to stop this for the betterment of our community and to stop the exploitation of human beings. Just my opinion. Novel concept, I know. Okay, so going back. Back in May of 2021, Governor Abbott held a press conference in which he stated that because of the allegations of abuse, specifically coming out of the Freeman Coliseum, that he was going to be launching the request of an investigation from the Texas Rangers into these allegations of abuse. Shortly thereafter, in June of 2021, and I'm going to share here on the screen here in just a moment, he signed a proclamation. This proclamation, in this proclamation, I'm going to show you May 31st of 2021 is when he signed the proclamation. Forgive me in my dates, but I'm going to go down to this specific proclamation right here. This proclamation was effective in creating a hindrance, if you will, because in this proclamation, in this paragraph right here, where he says, "I hereby direct the Texas Health and Human Services Commission to take all necessary steps to discontinue state licensing of any child care facility in this state that shelters or detains unlawful immigrants or other individuals not lawfully present in the United States under a contract with the federal government." And he goes into some codes and he says, "I hereby suspend," again, certain code sections 42.046 and 42.048. I'm reading it out loud for our podcast listeners after the fact. "Of the Texas Human Resources Code and all other relevant laws," and all other relevant laws. That's important, "to the extent necessary to allow HHSC to deny a license application for any new child care facility that shelters or detains unlawful immigrants or other individuals not lawfully present in the United States under a contract with the federal government, to renew any existing such licenses for no longer than a 90-day period following the date of this order, and to provide notice and initiate a 90-day period beginning on the date of this order to wind down any existing such licenses." So this is the executive order that was signed shortly after by Governor Abbott, shortly after that press conference and that call to launch the investigation into the allegations of abuse. That actually was very effective in creating a hindrance, because in the case of Endeavors, and Endeavors cites this specifically during the 4 previous city council meetings with Eagle Lake, states that they were having to find a way to be able to go around the governor's proclamation in which he signed this order revoking or prohibiting state licenses for being released. Because the federal funding to be able to open up this smaller facility, because since it is a permanent facility, it's different than the temporary facilities such like in Pecos, Texas. This is a permanent facility. So it's a little bit different in the guidelines that they must adhere to. But that state licensing, or the withholding of the state licensing, was prohibiting the federal government from releasing those funds for this specific Eagle Lake facility. During the November 2022 Eagle Lake meeting with City Council, they stated that they were still trying to find a way to go around the governor's proclamation. They had already pretty much finished all of the renovations. They were ready, to open the facility doors, but they were having to find a way. And at that time, to go around these orders so that the funds could be released. And at that time, the Endeavor's COO, Chip, and I don't know how to say his last name, so forgive me, but the chief operating officer of Endeavor's at that time stated that there was 52 other similar facilities that was going to have to try to find a way to go around the governor's proclamation. 52. Now, as you can imagine, that's quite a number. That was his citation. And we are actively looking into that, and I'll go into what steps we are continuing to take to try and dive deeper into this to give us some better insight of where we need to be fighting this. But 52 other similar facilities, and he said that there was going to have to be something. Something was going to have to be figured out because the federal government needs these 52 other facilities, so they're going to have to find a way to be able to go around the governor's orders. So that's where we were at. Forgive me, guys. I'm losing my voice. So to follow up after that, during the town hall meeting, about a week ago, week and a half, 2 weeks ago at this point, in Eagle Lake with the Endeavors, they had stated that, much to the surprise of even the, I'm going to pull this up, of even the city council there, they had stated that they had in fact received oh my goodness, what is the word? An exemption. They did in fact receive an exemption that they were in need of to be able to be accepted so that the federal funds could be released so that they could open their doors in the summer of 2023. And when we asked what exemption it was that they filed, they stated, they being the COO of Endeavors, stated that it was actually a Texas agency that provided the exemption, the necessary exemption. So let's pull this up. That agency that they cited, that Chip cited, was the Texas Health and Human Services Commission or agency. And in fact, at that point, we were a little taken back because it was prior to that, it was to our understanding from what they were telling us, they being Endeavors, during the previous city council meetings, that it was actually going to be the federal government they were filing these exemptions with. So we were a little taken back to find out that it was actually a state agency that in fact provided this exemption. We'll come to find out, I made some phone calls immediately after, and we set in immediately to try and find this exemption. Okay. How could this happen? How can a federal or how could a state agency essentially disregard the governor's proclamation and allow this to happen? And so made some phone calls and reached out to some state legislators' offices as well. And we were able to find out through a request of information through one of our state legislators that in fact this did happen, that there was, as of June 2021, that there was temporary codes, emergency declarations that were granted, exemptions that were granted to these types of facilities, and that as of July 2022, these exemptions became permanent. And that's what I'm showing you right here. This is the updated guidance on the governor's disaster proclamation. And it speaks here saying the background, I'm going to read it again for our podcast listeners. On May 31st, 2021, Governor Abbott issued a proclamation declaring a disaster in the state of Texas due to individuals unlawfully crossing the Texas-Mexico border. The proclamation directed the Health and Human Services Commission to discontinue state licensing of any child care facility that shelters or detains unlawfully present individuals. And it says that the Texas Health and Human Services Commission has adopted the rules relating to Governor Greg Abbott's disaster proclamation issued May 31st, 2021. The rules are effective July 8th of 2022. I'm going to skip down here. And if you guys go to my Substack directly that I wrote, earlier today. Find me on the Mid-Cities Conservative. I have the links to all of these, where I've cited all of these documents that I refer to right there in the article that I wrote. What residential child care operations are subject to the proclamation. Essentially, this is reversing, in effect, I don't know how else to explain it, but reversing or redefining the governor's proclamation. Going back to the document here by Texas HHS, it says that the proclamation does not apply to child placing agencies or child care programs that are exempt from or otherwise not subject to regulation by HHSC, a program that provides 24-hour care exclusively to one or more individuals not lawfully present in the United States who are in the custody of the federal government is an exempt program. Well, I just read to you guys just moments ago directly from the governor's proclamation signed on May 31st, 2021. And again, this is essentially reversing what the governor had ordered in his proclamation. So they have to fill out forms to be able to file for this exemption. But, and we have some information requests put out there to find out exactly who has submitted this for the forms to file for this exemption, so that we could see who and where these facilities are going to attempt to open their doors. Because again, this is much bigger implications than just Endeavors, than just this Eagle Lake facility. But honestly, this has implications across Texas, and we can try and stop this on the city and county level if we know where they are attempting to open these types of facilities. This is going to have direct impacts on your local law enforcement where these facilities are opening. This is going to potentially pull resources, qualified teachers, from the local ISD. I was on Marie Days has a podcast, the Daily Lavacan, and I will be sharing that here probably after the podcast. But right after the Eagle Lake Town Hall, she did a podcast, and I'm so thankful that she had me on. It was my second time on the program in her great studio there. It's always a fun time where we talked about this. You can't compare, a local ISD cannot compare to the salary, that of a local ISD. And I know that one of the individuals during the Eagle Lake Town Hall had stood up and mentioned on how that local elementary school alone in that rural, city of Texas had already lost 15 qualified teachers. So if we get even more teachers going because Endeavors or similar types of NGOs are able to pay substantially more, what kind of an impact is that going to have to the already strapped local ISDs? What impact is this going to have to the already strapped healthcare system that we're all facing throughout Texas? So again, this has wider implications, because if you can imagine, if Endeavors has already submitted for and been granted the funding to open this facility, other NGOs are going to do the same. The unfortunate truth is that there's far more money, taxpayer money, to be made off of the backs of unaccompanied minors using our taxpayer dollars than there is in helping our own children and American children in foster care. Than there is in helping, our American veterans who are homeless or who are behind on their bills. There's far more money for a quote unquote nonprofit to make off of the backs of unaccompanied minors using our taxpayer dollars. And it's much more than just the money. So again, this is where you can lead the way in your own city, specifically your own city. Watch your city councils. Look at those agendas that are coming up, because they're going to have to get approval on the city city level, through the city council level. They're going to have to get the approval. We can try and stop this on that city level. Let us know if there's a facility that, something comes up in your research and you're going, oh my goodness, we should already be paying attention to the city levels anyways, and the county levels. I've spoken in several different areas across Texas, where and even on this podcast, where I've spoken on how, like, the city of Denton, unanimously voted to allow non-citizens to run for local office, right? And there was not one person standing in opposition, not one. And that is what directly impacts you the most, is the city and county level. And then, of course, thereafter, the state level. So this is one of the ways that you can lead the ways and become, a watchdog right there in your city. You don't even have to leave the comfort of your own town. Become a watchdog. And if you find, that this shows up on the agenda, that somebody or an entity or an organization is attempting to, go through the motions to go to your city council to try and open up one of these facilities, reach out to us and let us know. And Alliance for a Safe Texas and Secure the Border, we will be right there with you to try to help to combat this, because this will have wide implications across Texas. On the flip side, again, I have written several articles and I have spoken extensively about the allegations of abuse through other types of NGOs and organizations, even before the Biden administration came into power. The allegations of abuse and the issues that exist in these types of facilities is not new, but of course it's happening on a massive scale, right? That we have never seen before, because this border crisis is on a massive scale that we have never seen before. It's unprecedented. We wrote, we put out that action item. And we're so thankful that Project Veritas had retweeted, and I've been out there at the Capitol fighting hard, trying to, find a state legislator willing to write this letter to the Attorney General Paxton's office, asking to launch the investigation into the trafficking of these unaccompanied minors throughout the state of Texas. Project Veritas, of course, released 2 hits where they showed they did the job of the federal government and showed how they went and found these children, these unaccompanied minors, who were released to quote unquote vetted sponsors. And in fact, these were men that these children did not know. Some of these children were pimped out. Like one girl, 16-year-old here in Texas, was released to her supposed aunt, who pimped her out, and she ran away. Many of these children didn't even know their names or how old they were, and were stuffed in apartments with men that they did not know who they were. Axios, of course, reported a long time ago that 1 in 3 of these unaccompanied minors, they just simply lost track of. Houston PD made out a call months ago, and I referenced to all of these in my previous writings, and actually in the letter requesting for the launch of this investigation. Saying that these unaccompanied minors were simply going missing. They weren't able to follow up with them. They didn't know where they were. So I cite other sources besides just the Project Veritas. So guys, please, on the other flip side, I need your help. Reach out to your state senator and to your state representative and ask them. You can send them. You can go to, as a matter of fact, I'll pull it up right now. You can go to securetheborder.us, go to the Take Action tab. Let's go ahead and just share it so I can show you how easy it is. Here we go. Go to the Take Action tab. Well, actually, let me get to the tab first. Go to the Take Action tab, and right on the Take Action tab, you will find, I put it right up there towards the front, towards the very top, you will find a copy of that PDF of the letter. Oh, wrong one. I'm doing great, y'all. I'm doing great. That's what happens when you have the funk. You will find the Citizens Call to Action, right? You'll find a little video of me a while back talking about this action item. But then if you go a little bit further down, you will find the actual PDF right there. This is what I've been handing into our state legislators, because unfortunately the reality is that the specialist that I spoke to at the AG's office politely informed me that as a citizen, I did not have the right to ask for the launch of an investigation that only the governor or state legislator or a DA can do. The easiest one, of course, in my mind, with the 88th legislative session is to find a state legislator willing to request this, preferably one that is the chair of a committee. Unfortunately, in the House of Representatives, as of right now, we don't know who the chairmen of the committees are. The committees have not been assigned. They have been assigned on the Senate side, but you guys can take this, send it, email it, call. You can use this as a template and call your state legislator and ask them to request that out of the AG's office. Excuse me, did not want to cough in y'all's ears. So on the flip side, as they are about to open up a lot more of these facilities, smaller facilities throughout the state of Texas, it unfortunately paves a way where more child trafficking could potentially occur. So the launch of the investigation into what is happening with these unaccompanied minors is the other side of this. So those are your two action items. Number one, become a watchdog in your own city and county. Check those city council meetings, look at those agendas, attend them in person if you can. Ask, possibly one of your city council members or your mayor if your city has been approached about this. Read through the previous agendas and be on the lookout for anything to come. And we spoke. I went with quite a number of people, a few constituents from the Eagle Lake area, Colorado County, and the Lavaca County. Last Thursday, we were there and spoke to Representative Kitzman from the area. We also spoke to him. Thankfully, he spent a lot of time with us in the office, speaking to us directly face to face. And we was very, very thankful for that opportunity. He understood and he listened. And he understood already. He knew that this was an issue, and unfortunately, we were turned on to a potential other spot, another facility that's looking to open in his district. So he's very aware of the concerns. He spent a lot of time with us, and he's doing what he can from his office. Senator Colkhurst, who is the head of the Senate's oversight committee for Texas HHS. The finance committee for that. We spoke with her office, a representative or her staffer spent some time listening to our concerns there. Also spoke with Senator Huffman's office. Again, this is directly in this area of Eagle Lake. And the other potential facility that's looking to open is right there in her office. So amongst several others, offices that I spoke to directly over the last two days that I was down there last week. So trying to raise awareness of all of these issues. We're also currently working, be on the lookout. One of the things that you guys have heard me talk about is the expansion of the 287G program throughout the state of Texas. We're hoping that some legislation will be filed soon for that. Also still trying to work on a state statute of terrorism, which unfortunately 33 other states have passed. Texas, unfortunately, is not one of them. I'm trying to actively work to change that, especially with the rising tensions occurring in the Middle East. And so many of illegal aliens coming from known terrorist countries. Some of them I've come face to face with along our border from Tajikistan, Pakistan, Georgia, and several other countries from special interest aliens. It's very concerning. And the state statute of terrorism here on the state level, if we were to pass that, would give our state law enforcement some extra teeth to be able to track that movement, would allow the state of Texas to declare an act as a terroristic act, God forbid, in the event where something were to happen, despite whether or not the federal government was willing to declare it as such. And it would also provide resources and aid to the victims of a terrorist attack. Not too long ago, not even 11 minutes up the street from where I live, there was a terroristic attack at the Bethel Synagogue. My daughter played soccer right outside of there. Thank God it ended the way that it is, and it ended the way that it did, and there was no physical victims other than the the terrorist. But if in the event things don't go so well the next time around, we will have that in place to help safeguard Texas as much as possible and to help God forbid, the potential victims. So that's very important. But in addition to that, these are some of the other issues that we are actively working on. And once we get any information from the information and request, we will definitely update you guys to find out how this happened. Who surpasses who? Does the governor's proclamation hold more weight than a Texas agency or vice versa? Because again, there's a lot of questions here. Did the oversight committee, legislative committee, allow for were they made aware that this was happening? If so, if they were made aware, did they vote on this? And did they allow this to happen, even in spite of the governor's proclamation? There's a lot of questions here. But on the flip side, we can be proactive right there in your city, in your county, and try to stop this where we can. So please visit the website. I think I've spoken enough. My throat hurts. Let me check the comments really quick here and see if we have any questions. Specific questions. Okay. Yeah. Yes, this is going to have, I mean, right now we are talking about, I'm reading one of the comments talking about the impacts financially. Yes. I mean, I've spoken about this before, especially in the presentations, and I'll be speaking in several different places, even this month. I'll be speaking in Denton next week. I'll be speaking in Dallas next week. I'll be speaking in Hallettsville coming up and in Uvalde. So I'll be speaking in a few different places. But one of the things that people don't necessarily realize, again, the issues do not begin nor end at the Rio Grande. We're all facing record high inflation. And at a time when we're facing record high inflation, we are simultaneously being flooded by millions and millions of illegal aliens that are going right into and dependent on our taxpayer dollars, while we're also sending billions and billions of dollars overseas for wars that we don't have any interest in being in. Okay. And of course, unfortunately, the Biden regime is attempting to set us up for World War III. Regardless, we're all feeling it. I went, as I was coming back from my Secret Squirrel meeting, I literally went through the Whataburger drive-thru. I was hungry. I had about a 2-hour drive home. So let me grab me a little snack. For like 3 chicken strips and a small shake, it cost me, a meal cost me almost $15. It was $14 and some change. And I was like, good Lord, I can't even afford Whataburger anymore. This is insanity. But you can imagine how when our resources are already strapped, you're and Texas is like number 7 in the country for property taxes. The 2 things that impact your property taxes the most, specifically on the county level, on the city and county level, is your the healthcare system, and of course, your ISDs, your school districts. Well, what did we just talk about? When you're talking about just in Tarrant County alone, we received over 3,000 unaccompanied minors. And those numbers have not been updated. Over 3,000 unaccompanied minors, and that's straight from the HHS website in ORR, the Office of Refugee Resettlement. 3,000, and you multiply that on average at about 10,000 per student. It's likely more than that because, a lot of the times they're put into special programs, because they can't speak English or they don't speak English well, right? So that costs more. But let's just say 10,000 per student times 3,000 in just one county. And I promise you it's substantially more than that because they haven't updated the numbers. That's just the healthcare system. I'm sorry, that's just the local ISDs here in Tarrant County. What about JPS, which is our local? It's kind of like what is it? Parkland in Dallas, right? JPS is usually the place where people who do not have insurance go to in Fort Worth. What does that cost? Because that's where they're going. You and I are having to pay for that bill. In Arizona, there's a hospital that was like, we can't do this anymore. They said, I forgot the exact amount, don't quote me, but it was something like $40 million that they were in debt in a small hospital in Arizona, just one. Just one. That has a direct impact on your pocketbook where you live. These types of facilities opening up is going to have a direct impact on your pocketbook, not just the crime, the potential for crime, not just the impact, again, of pulling resources from your local ISDs, your pocketbook. When we're already struggling. I mean, I just got my gas bill and it was triple. I swear to you, it was triple. My jaw dropped. I can't even afford to go to Whataburger anymore. This is insanity. The vets don't reap the benefits allotted to them in Houston because the NGO's housing, yes, they are neglected. Absolutely. And if they complain, they are deemed to have mental problems. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yes, KN. Like I said, we do not, children are a commodity treated as such, as are our veterans. It's all about what turns the most profit for a nonprofit. And, one of the other things that we went into during the town hall, there was a gentleman who stood up and said, how much is Intrepid making? And he said, how much are your leadership, how much is the leadership of Endeavors making off of Intrepid? Intrepid is a for-profit subsidiary, a staffing. They provide staffing for the other organizations like BCFS, right? That's for-profit and a nonprofit, making billions of dollars, your taxpayer dollars. Let me check Getter really quick, see if we had any questions over there. And if not, then I will probably go ahead and let you guys go. Let's see here. But I appreciate you guys very much for tuning in. Again, we are all about the action items here and what you can do. Please, like I said, if you're able, whatever you are able to donate, help to keep me on the road. Next week, we will for sure. Actually, I will be not just at the state capitol, but down there in Yoakum. And a few other spots, and actually potentially a meeting with an NGO, with the leaders of an NGO, a one-on-one meeting. So my husband said to me earlier, and a few others have said that I need to start putting out the disclaimer. While I'm not feeling very good right now, I am good. I love my life. My breaks are good. And, my husband loves me. There is no reason why I would something would happen to me. So I say that half jokingly, but honestly, I'm very thankful, to have a meeting, a one-on-one meeting. I'm thankful that they've extended that one-on-one meeting with a large NGO. And I'm excited for that opportunity to hopefully, again, be your voice and help be the voice of concerned Texans. And asking some of the hard questions that you guys thankfully graciously have entrusted me to do. And to be able to go down there to Austin and help testify. If you're able to go down there, come on down there with me. I'll put out the calls to action when that happens. But again, unfortunately, I was going to go down there this Thursday to go testify in front of the Finance Committee, the Senate Finance Committee. That doesn't look like it happened because, we have our roads are full of ice. So, and I'm not feeling the best, but I will be up and going next week. So, and be on the lookout. I'm hoping by Thursday or Friday to put out part 3 on the Substack. Find me, the Mid-Cities Conservative. It's so much easier for me to go ahead and post on there. I'm not the best at sending emails through the website, and I apologize. There's only so much that I can do, but you can subscribe to the Substack. Find it at the Mid-Cities Conservative. Subscribe there. If you guys are able to even do a paid subscription on there, that also helps to put gas in the car and help me to fight across the great Republic of Texas, because my goodness, it is huge. And gas is starting to go back up again. So, if you guys can donate on there or do a paid subscription on the Substack, that's great. If not, I'm trying to make sure absolutely everything I put on there is free. So you can always do a free subscription, and that's just as good and just help to share the information. So thank you guys so very much. I don't see any questions. If you have any questions that you think of course, you can always shoot me a message or shoot me a message through the website. Visit securetheborder.us, securetheborder.us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like and share. Subscribe to the Substack. Find me at the Mid-Cities Conservative. on Substack. You can download the app, and if you download the app and sign up there for the emails, as soon as I send an update, I'll be having something going out tomorrow morning. You will receive instant notification. It makes my life so much easier, and it's also really easy to share from. So find me on Substack, the Mid-Cities Conservative. Visit the website, securetheborder.us, securetheborder.us. Visit and find the Take Action tab. And of course, if you're able to, $5, $10, $20, whatever you're able to do to help me travel around Texas. We are a C4 though, so unfortunately it's not tax deductible. But you know, there's only so much I can do because I can't really hide where I stand on certain things. So a C4 was most certainly the best way for us to go. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe, stay warm, and thank you guys for the support and for all the love and helping to share this information and getting it out there. And let's continue to do all that we can to secure our sovereign border and save our sweet Texas. I will be joining in the Raul's Reyes show in about an hour. So if you guys follow Raul, find him and you will see me on there in about an hour or so. Join us on there. Otherwise, you guys stay safe. Have a great night. Thank you so much. God bless, and God bless Texas.